It's crazy, man. When that fame train comes, it's no joke. You know, it puts you right in the thick of it, of testing. For me, I didn't really have the grounding of my faith back then. So I was really going through it and just really trying to figure myself out. If one is able to fully understand who they are, to know the good, bad, and the ugly, and be grateful for the beauty of it all, then you're set, you know, because we go through this life trying to figure out who we are.
What's up, everybody? We're back again for another episode of A Convo with. Today we have the honor of having a special guest who I was actually trying to get since the very first season, Van Ness. Woo.
What's up, y'all?
He got his lift in today, too.
Yeah, I feel pumped.
Yeah.
I feel swole. I got the Josh Fan workout going on.
There you go. Yeah. Van, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's been interesting past couple weeks, months. This year has been really interesting with work and family life. I don't know. It's towards the end of the year, so then you always have like these random emotions of how this year kind of panned out, what you're kind of going through in the moment. So it's a lot of emotions, a lot of mixed emotions, random stuff coming up. So yeah,
I think everybody has their own different rhythms and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
So it sounds like towards the end of the year you do a lot of reflection and different things like that.
I do a lot of Yeah, I think end of the year is always a lot of reflection per se. You know, birthday's always a lot of reflections. And this year has been interesting because I also feel like there's a bit of just like emotions that I haven't really thought about or haven't felt in a while lately. Like you're kind of like I was on like this, you know, this high of just feeling good, everything's good, like going, and then randomly just feel this like depression come on. But I feel like it's always good to address it, and the fact that I'm able to, you know, even just to say it out loud, it actually feels a lot better, and to not be like, oh, I'm okay kind of thing, you know. And it's with just people that I know and care about, that I feel like, oh, I can just say it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna give an intro and all that, but I like the direction of where we're headed, so I'm just gonna give a quick intro of who Van Ness is, and then we're gonna jump right back into that, because as it relates to kind of reflection, lots of different emotions, and even just like in general, like being like emotionally down. I'm actually there right now too, so I want to touch back on that. But Van Ness is a great friend of mine. First off, just as a friend, he's given me a lot of advice through the years.
Same with
I
you.
still remember when I was trying to you know, date my now wife. I had called you for some advice too. He made a bunch of time. He's always giving me advice about anything and everything through the years.
That I'm able to, if I have information about. You know.
But man, you have done it all: acting, musician, dancer, director, producer, model, TV personality, fashion designer. You got your own line. You even did some diving.
I did some diving
show. You've done a whole bunch of different things. But you know, more than anything, he's just a good homie. Anytime we get back in the same city, we're always eating. What are we eating?
We eat sushi.
That's right, and we're doing that tonight after the podcast. We always get some sushi or something like that. But no, I wanted to jump back into that. So, kind of talking about your mental health, if you're willing to share. Where, you know,
where it's at.
Yeah,
I'm crazy. No, it's always it just comes and goes, you know, and you never really know why or how or when it comes up. And you always, for me at least, I always felt like at certain points it's good, but then sometimes when I start talking about myself or certain things, it just kind of like anxiety comes up, and it's really random. It's really weird. I don't really understand it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I do like prayer sessions, like therapy through it, and you know, I do the whole breathing exercise and stuff, but I realize it kind of just takes a lot of time on my part to find quiet time for myself, and also just being sober, like not drinking. Like that kind of affected me sometimes. But yeah, so that's kind of like how I kind of deal with everything. lot of prayer. A lot of prayer.
Yeah, it's weird because, and I don't know if it's like the weather or what it is, but like I would say the last 2 weeks, I've just felt like emptier. And it's like, I just felt emptier, why, right? And I don't know why, but like, I think, and this isn't just because this isn't just a like, okay, you have fame, you're a celebrity, and you're in the spotlight. I think it's just like a human thing.
Yeah.
But even for me, if like on paper, things are great, the season is going well. I just, I just won an award and we're first place in the league. And
you won an award?
There's just like some small award, but I won a small award.
There's nothing ever small about, you always be happy and proud of your achievements.
For sure. But like on paper, things are good. I got like my family and my, my son. And but then like, even after the wins, or like even just like sometimes on my off days where I'm like, man, this is like an off day. I should be super hyped and whatever. I've just been feeling low recently. And so I've been trying to like kind of, and it's similar because I feel like I'm like doing a lot of the right things too, right. Like I'm spending time with God and I'm in therapy and I'm doing, my mental exercises and the breathing and I'm in community. I got my Bible study and my prayer group and things like that. But there's still times when like maybe you're doing everything, but you still feel like dry or empty or whatever. And that's kind of what I'm going through. So I've been kind of really thinking about that. Like, yo, why is it like that? But I think it's just ebbs and flows of being a human. And like you said, just being able to verbalize it, being able to
just to be vocal about it rather than like suppressing it or trying to say like, no, I'm good, kind of like be a man about it or what, all that stuff. It really is just to be vulnerable with it, with people, even sometimes strangers or whatnot. I think that might just be one of the key things is just God wants us to be that vulnerable with our emotions, with people, so that we could be as real as possible. Right? Because often a lot of times we're always, especially us and everybody's, oh, how you doing? We always feel like, oh, I'm good. We have to keep up an appearance of some sort. But ultimately it really is just to be kind of a human being, like you say.
Yeah. And even like, my coach, a couple of my teammates, they've been like, yo, like, you good? Like checking up on me in the last week. And I'm like, dang, like, I guess other people are noticing it too. Where I'm just like, I'm not as like happy or encouraging or whatever. I'm just kind of like floating or drifting, kind of just like in a little, like in a lull.
Do you feel like that's like, it always just kind of comes and goes? Sometimes like the enemy just comes and steals your joy out of nowhere. Yeah. At times, or because like it's not always just going to be, oh, I'm great. Life is awesome. God is good and all that stuff, which that's the frequency and the baseline that we try to go for, as it says, rejoice always, pray unceasingly, right? So rejoicing always means be joyful always, pretty much, or we got to fight for that joy, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's I feel like it's not feasible. I mean, we try to go after it, but it actually, to be able to vocalize it now, I feel a little bit more at ease with it and feeling like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm a human being, and this is what actually it means to be human, right? a real person. Because unless you're just, drinking Red Bull all day and stuff.
No, for me, like I actually had a great session with my sports psychologist like a week or two ago. But I was talking to him about, I said like, all right, I'm playing games right now. I want to enjoy the games more. Like I feel like I told him, I was like, I enjoy it when we win. Like I enjoy it after, or like right as we're about to finish winning. Like that's when I'm like, but like I want to enjoy it when I don't know if I'm going to win, or even on a night where we lose, or if I don't play as well, or we don't play well, like I still want to be able to enjoy that. And so we've been focusing on like, how do I just like deeply, deeply enjoy the game? And he was talking about, obviously a big part of that is surrendering the result to God.
Amen.
And so like, that's always been a theme that we've talked many times about, is like, how do we just surrender everything that comes in life to God and just trust him with it. But then I told him, I was like, yo, I've been working so hard at this surrender thing, and it's just not like working out for me. Like I'm just not good at this surrender, like, and then he said, and he stopped me right there and he's like, do you see what you're missing? He was like, that in and of itself is what we're trying to undo. Is you feel like if you put in the effort to have more faith or surrender, then you want to see a result on your time.
Right.
On your timeline and in your own way. And that is actually the exact
Opposite.
thing. Yeah, this is exactly why we're here. So he said, you know what I want you to do is I just want you to pursue a heart of surrender and be okay wherever you end up. And like just the act of you like being present in that moment and trying to have that heart is success.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to always have a heart of surrender. Like you said, it's like, it's not feasible to always be at this like perfect, equilibrium of peace, joy, happiness, and love. And so it's really just like, hey, I'm just pursuing. I have a pursuit and a desire to do this, and that's all. And that in and of itself is all I need to do, and that's good enough.
Exactly. I want to be emo sometimes. Dang it! You almost kind of feel like that, right? When you just say to be in that equilibrium of all of that, but then it's also like, well, no, I like to be in some of my feelings sometimes to feel certain ways, and other times like I say, it kind of goes back to. When you talk to other people and you see all these different things around you where it kind of affects your mentality and mood as well of whatever you're watching on television or what you're reading or when you talk to other people, and because sometimes their stuff becomes your stuff when you allow it to. And it really is to be more aware, I think, just of everything. And then the surrendering part, the heart of surrendering is such a good word because we also kind of want to be the man after God's own heart too, right? So
that just took a turn.
Yeah,
but I'm glad we were able to do that because I think that's like more important than any topic or script or.
I felt like I think because we're comfortable with each other, and when honestly, like me talking to you, this is how we normally are when we talk. It really is no like, oh hey, what's going on? There's no surface thing. It's just like. Boom, we just get to it. We just get to it. Like, how you doing, man? It's like, bro. Like, I remember when you came over to my mom's house and my mom cooked with just you and your mom.
Yeah.
And then it was during the season too. And then you were going through it. But for me, I was just like, all right, was it Chris? No, it wasn't Christmas. Was it Christmas?
It was like last year during the Christmas season.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I remember it was a fun, like calm, chill time. It wasn't like anything trying to achieve any type of goal or anything, but it was just really hanging out and just enjoying each other's presence, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. But on to the other topic. How cool am I? I'm like super cool. Jeremy will tell you how cool am I. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we can talk about how cool you are.
No.
I remember after I got that COVID too.
Oh.
I got COVID for those 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I was like locked up, and that was like my lowest mental health that I've ever had in my entire life. I was
bet.
Deep and dark. And then like, I think you were the first meal, like once I got out, you were the first meal we ate in Shanghai, and we went to a sushi spot. And then, we sat down and I was like, bro, I just need to tell you. And I was like,
yeah.
But let's, rewinding it a little bit just through the years, how do we meet? And how did things go?
First time I ever realized or like had the introduction to you was when I was approached to do a track for Golden State Warriors. Me, Jin, J-Ma, and then that was kind of like how I knew of you. We never really met actually, even after that.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not mistaken, the first time I actually saw you though was at like a lounge bar, and you went there with, I'm not sure with who, but I remember Jeff was there, and then you came up to me or something, or we were introduced somehow because your mom liked my TV series, Autumn's Concerto. And then you came, hey, my mom's your fan. I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, oh, you're Jeremy, and da-da-da-da. And we did a song, and that's my first recollection of how we met. But I remember Jeff was saying like, hey, at the lounge, yo, you want to meet this girl? You want to meet that girl? And then he said like, yeah. And then he saw you, Vanessa, and he was like, hey, that's Vanessa. And he's like, why do you want to go talk to Vanessa? Right? And then he came over.
I was like, yo, that's Van Ness. I got to talk to him.
He's like, man. All right.
And then I remember, so we went to karaoke, and my mom was like singing a song with you, and I'd never seen my mom like starstruck before, and I was just like, yo, mom, who are you? like relax. She was like really like
she was
legit
really
nervous and happy at the same time. But
that was after your conference, one of the conferences that you did. That was the first time you did the conference.
Yeah, the evangelical event.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
So and then since then we just
I remember
did a lot of
we hung out and did a lot of stuff, and I remember for myself personally it was like because that was right before Insanity happened too, or right after. No, it was right after when Insanity happened, I remember. But I met you before that, just for that one moment. And when all that happened, I just remember on the sidelines just like rooting for you like nonstop. I was just so happy that you were getting your shot, you were getting these opportunities. But I also remember continually telling myself like just be there for him as a friend always, like, and that's it. Especially the fact that I found out you're also the same age as my younger brother too, as Jeffrey. But you're way like you guys are on a different playing. We're
gonna have to cut that part out.
No offense, Jeffrey. You know that, and it's all good. Love you to death. Yeah, you doing your own thing too, so you good. We good. But yeah, because in the same sense, in the sense of everything kind of happened for me overnight. So I kind of understood somewhat in that frequency of it just coming all at once. And you're like, whoa, right? And so I remember that. And I think that's kind of how our friendship kind of developed and grew from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, and for some of the people, a lot of people will know, but for some of the people who might not know, Van Ness's career also had a lot of parallels and was part of F4, which I got a chance to go back and watch some of the old videos and the long hair and everything. But like,
did you watch Wicked?
Yeah.
Popular. Yeah.
But that was like, I mean, you guys were essentially like Asia Backstreet Boys.
We were bigger than Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, bigger than Backstreet. No, it was, but it was crazy. It was crazy how high that high was, and so like, obviously everything that we've experienced of kind of that number one peak of fame, and then kind of like dealing with the craziness of all of that, and then kind of as you settle into maybe the rest of your career, what that looks like, and finding yourself within the midst of kind of that storm of popularity and all the temptations, distractions, and things that could happen to you. So I mean, we've that's something that we've always kind of related on.
Facts. Yeah, definitely. That is. I think that's kind of why we relate together so well. We're very relatable to each other because it's crazy, man. When that fame train comes, it's no joke. It puts you right in the thick of it, of testing everything about you, your values, your manhood, who you are as a person, and who are you trying to, portray also. For me, I didn't really have the grounding of my faith back then, so I was really, really going through it and just really trying to figure myself out. Being in a boy band, I mean, it's pretty interesting. And when we actually met, we were both already grounded, or we already had our faith to kind of help ground us. So that's also one thing that I really felt very grateful for. Yeah,
I guess between like F4 and Meteor Garden and kind of that early stage, what is like one or two things that you learned like that have stuck with you, or just like one or two things that you're like, dang, I wish I could share this with the next generation or the people who will be listening to this.
Wow, no pressure.
I'm just curious because people ask me that question a lot.
It's
interesting, but I kind of want to hear like you've been through like the heights. So
one thing I really learned obviously is to have your foundation and grounding relationship with God. That's for me personally, and I feel that's very important for anybody. Get to know Yahweh. Yahweh is the only way in that sense, because when I've found my grounding and that, it led me back to one thing that I feel is one of the most important aspects in life, is to truly know who you are as a person. And to be able to do that is to be able to love yourself and forgive yourself consistently at the same time. If one is able to fully understand who they are, to know the good, bad, and the ugly, and be grateful for the beauty of it all, then you're set. because we go through this life trying to figure out who we are through all the validations or seeking other, types of validations from people, from, whatever, right? Social media, etc. If we don't have any of that and we're able to figure out and love ourselves unconditionally, then nothing else really can take us away from that truth. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, what do you think? And like, how hard is it, do you feel, to actually know who yourself? Because like even us, right? Even today, we're like, oh, we're good. We feel like we know ourselves, and we're going through stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, dang, I feel depressed. Like, I don't feel good right now. Like, my frequency is not at where it should be.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's wrong with me? And then, but to be able to give yourself that space and have conversation with yourself about trying to figure that out, and to be okay with being in that emo state, and to just figure it out. And I think not to be ashamed of it, not to kind of fall back on it, or fall away from it, but just to be open and vulnerable. Say, no, this is me today. This is how I feel. I might not need to blast it on social, but then with the people that are around me, I kind of that I can care about and value their input on.
Yeah, I always say, like, if you're not content today, you won't be content. Like, even if you get to where you're trying to go. Yeah. I kind of also understand that, like, so then how do you be content today? And that's hard. Sometimes it's hard to like kind of just like manufacture that contentment. And it's like when my parents would tell me stuff when I was growing up, like, and I was like, okay, I know. But it's like, I had to go experience that for myself until it really like sunk in and hit home. Like, oh, when they say like this is what they mean. Like, you really, and so I always say that, and that's something that I generally, and I totally agree with you. Like, if that, like, my biggest advice for anybody is like, figure out who you are outside of what you accomplish or what you do. Like, you've got to figure out who you are fundamentally, and like really lean into that, and just spend time there, like spend time in the silence, spend time in the uncertainty and the discomfort of like the silence and being yourself, like being by yourself. And I think that's just something that, like, for me, I do, I'll have different things. Like, I'll have social media fasts, where like for a certain stretch of time, I'm not touching anything social, or there's different times where I try to go and get away, or I just try to like be by myself and get away from everybody, or times when I just need to read or rest or pray. There's times when I try to just like do nothing. And my goal is, and this is a goal, like, I'll literally be like, yo, for the next like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I'm going to do nothing, like, and it's like, I'm sitting there and like 2 minutes go by and my mind's like, and it's like, because I'm so wired for the next dopamine effect, that it's like, I just keep going, thinking. And it's like, I have to literally like find intentional ways to slow myself down, because the cycle that we're in is just go.
Well, I think social media has ignited the dopamine, like, addiction, right? We're always searching for that next dopamine because we get it so easily through social media, through the internet, whether how big or small. It's just that small hit of this reel that I saw, or this meme that I saw, and I'm like, oh, it made me happy. Oh, this is kind of cool. But we never had that before, and we had to actually seek that through other avenues of, whether it's going out and just playing some hoops or something, So,
Actually, I got that from you too, because there was one stretch where we hadn't caught up for a while, and then I met up with you, and you're like, I'm working on, you had your movie that you're working on in LA, and then you're like, I'm getting off social, and I was like, oh, why? He's like, you were like, man, just because I just realized, like, just social was making me compare a lot. I was just comparing, and it was too much comparison, and so I just had to get off of it. And I was like, you know what? And then I kind of adopted that, but just not in the same way. Like, you took a pretty long
it took several months.
And I was just more like, hey, every so often I'm gonna get off of it just to like recenter myself.
You got me back off to do the same thing of like getting off it for like a week or so, when you're talking about the Nazarite vow. At that time, I'm actually taking a week off this week.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, make sure when we post it, I'll make sure that you're not on that fast. So that No, I was like, let me get that repost, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
Why isn't he reposting it? What's up, man?
Yo, I already tagged you 3 times. No, I think that stuff's important, man. And,
Yeah.
and just like, yeah.
It's so easy, like, because I have an addictive personality, I feel, and I find myself just automatically still just pushing that button to go on there, and I'm like, oh gosh, I got to get off of it.
Yeah.
It's so hardwired now that it's kind of scary, you know. But yeah, and then soon this will be on social media.
Yeah. How ironic.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about F4 and your music and, you know, that path. Also, acting has been big, and you've been on different shows, reality shows, dance shows.
You've been on reality shows.
You're the guest. We're talking about you today. And you've also always supported my philanthropy. Come to my celebrity charity games. You even tore an ACL for my.
Yeah, I still work through that. I need inner healing still for those moments of like, what was I thinking, you know? And damn, dude, like, no, that was it. It was a pretty tough couple of years after that. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'm sure, you know, injury is never fun. And there was moments where I'm like, damn it, Jim. No, I'm kidding.
Like, I'm never supporting you or philanthropy again. Yeah. But no, I just wanted to kind of hear your experience on acting and shows and things like that. Like, what's that been like? I mean, the truth is the majority of people will never get a chance to experience something like that. Or like, you know, I just want to kind of hear about what your experiences were.
Well, for me, I always loved acting. I mean, it's like playing a different character, and you never really kind of have to grow up per se. You know, granted, there is a craft to it, and there is a lot of time and effort you have to put into it, but it's a lot of fun being somebody else for a day, you know, or a couple months and stuff. It is very tiring, emotionally, mentally, physically at times, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It definitely has been tough because, you know, I really wanted to do it in the States first because English is my first language. There wasn't any opportunities back then for Asians at all, you know. So I moved over here, moved to Taipei. Only had maybe a handful of people that I knew, but really kind of chased after it. And to this day, I feel very blessed and fortunate to still be doing acting, but ultimately I would love to do some more stuff in the English language because I feel like I'm able to express myself probably a little bit more and can play on different accents.
Yeah.
I love doing random, whether it's British, Southern, you know, all that stuff. And it's more for me to kind of play with, you know. But yeah, the acting thing I feel was something that I'm going to continually do until I can't do it anymore, just like dancing.
Cool.
Dancing is something that is in my DNA that I can't get rid of. But yeah, and I was very fortunate from the acting and dancing, and then did some variety shows. Diving was the one that made me feel quite proud of myself. I really wanted to learn how to dive, and I never had the opportunities to when I was younger. You know, I was always curious, like, how do they do that? You know, from such great heights and then do these flips and then land in the water. And when the show came along and my manager's like, hey, do you want to do a diving show? And I'm like, yeah, why not? And I went on it, learning the flips, because, you know, we all just jumped on the trampolines. It was always fun. But to be able to actually do that with the water, you kind of just really kind of find your equilibrium in the air and to know when to extend full body. When I did it, I was like, I really want to learn how to do off the 10 meter, right?
Oh, man.
But I was so scared of heights. I'm scared of heights. And I was like, okay, and I'm not going to like force myself. I don't want to get hurt. But I started doing off the 3 meter springboard the whole time until the very end, though. The producers came up to me and said, hey, you know that 1.5 inverted dive on the 3 meters? Can you do that on the 10 meter? Yeah, at the very end of the show, like for the grand finale, since you made it to the finals. And I was like, I'm not promising you, but I'll try, you know. And that was kind of like the goal. And then the coaches were like, okay, cool. We'll practice on the 3 meter. And after we get the 3 meter, I was thinking I can try the 5 and the 7, the 10, right? After 3 meter, we go straight to the 10. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, you don't want to go 5 to 7 because, you know, you might get scared halfway through and not want to do it. So we just got to 0 to 100 real quick. And I remember the day that I was trying to do it on the 10, I looked over the ledge and I was frozen. I was like, what am I doing up here? And I was just on my knees, like kind of against the rail, just in my head all the whole time. And then finally, all of a sudden, the phrase came to me. It was, fear is not from God. And then I just got up, I walked to the edge, did this, and boom, and I just jumped, and I did it. And I was like, okay. And when I landed, it was one of the best feelings ever.
Nice.
Yeah. I got second place, though. I didn't get first. Because I messed up on the second dive. The first dive, I killed it on the 10 meter, but the second dive, I messed up a little bit.
Gotcha.
And interestingly enough, when they gave us the medals, the medal was made out of platinum, white gold. And then so it felt like God was giving me a nod to like, even though you didn't get first, the material is worth more. Worth more than the gold part. There were so many testimonies in that show for myself, because there was literally, we only get 3 days to learn how to dive.
Oh my goodness.
Before each dive, we only get like three days, 2 days, and then 1 day rehearsal, and then you just go for it.
Dang.
And I remember the inverted 3 meter springboard one. That whole day I was doing legs and stuff. So when I did the dives, I kept messing up during rehearsal, and I was just freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna mess up, and I can't believe I'm gonna go home. And I remember during those shows, though, they were more, they didn't really care what I was doing. But I would literally be on my knees in a fetal position, praying to God, saying like, God, I just want to be able to do good. I want to be able to perform well. I just want to be able to nail this thing. And I remember trying to calm myself, because the whole time I was just, I'm not gonna be able to land this thing.
Yeah.
And then I remember like I felt God saying like, you got this, don't worry, kind of thing. And I was saying, but it's just me talking to myself. I'm like, all right, if I really got this, then what score am I gonna get? Right? I don't even know why I said that. Before I even finished, the number 71 popped in my head. And then I said, all right, whatever. And then I do the dive, I land, I finish, I come back, and then they present the score, and it's 71.
That's crazy.
And some people will say, oh, you manifested it or not, but I'm talking to God, dude. I'm asking him. And when you can see the excitement in my face, because when it happened, I went back on the ground going like, same thing again, just like, it's just all him, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially with reality TV shows, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know when they're going to try to flip the script on you, try to get a reaction out of you. But it's always just like, God, you're in the forefront of everything. I just want to make sure I make you proud in everything I do, and kind of went like that. Because following years after that, every reality show that I did, you always kind of feel like the producers has a script of their own, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Know.
Yeah, and it's so like, what's that word? It's so disappointing, because you work your butt off.
Yeah.
To try to get like a good result,
Yeah.
And you have other people relying on you to share that same result, and everybody's working hard, but then they're like, oh, let's see what happens when this happens.
Yeah,
and
they're like, oh, your team won twice in a row, so you can't win the third one. You gotta lose this one.
Yep.
Or like they'll be like, there's one where I had to I was a coach.
Yeah.
I had to cut somebody, and they're like, no, don't cut him, because like the fans think he's the cutest. So you have to keep him. And then and I was just like, dang, like it's a lot of it's scripted.
Did you want to cut him because he was the cutest? Or no. He was taking too much of Jalen?
No, you're cuter than me. Cut. No. That's acting and being in front of a camera, being in front of people, like that just brings out a different level of like inner will.
Yeah.
And it brings something different out of you.
Yeah. And especially because you're portraying yourself, really. In acting, you can be somebody else.
Yeah.
But then in variety shows, unless you just have this whole thing of like, this is how I'm going to be kind of and stuff. But of course, everybody tries to be as polite as possible and stuff when they're in variety shows. It's quite interesting. The last one that I did was the one that I actually felt people really were able to finally kind of see who I was as a person. And after 3-4 years of doing that, I remember the last one I didn't even want to do, but I agreed to do it, and it's one of the best ones that I've done, and made a lot of good relationships through it, and was very blessed and fortunate to share the gospel with one of the directors on the TV show too. And
that's awesome.
She received God, and I was like, all right, that's the reason why I actually even went and suffered quarantine again in a quarantine hotel that was not fun.
Yeah. No, I'm not even getting into the quarantine
Yeah.
details right now. But
we out of that.
Yeah. Wanted to change the mood real quick. You said you're good at accents. Can you give us your top accent?
Man. Well, Not sure which one you want to hear right now, Jeremy. I got a couple of them. You need to calm down there, Kai. Southern ones were always fun for me. I think because I really enjoy cowboy movies. I love westerns, so those were always fun. What else? What else would there be? Not sure. You got to try a bit of it all. You know, like yeah. I thought it would always be cool if like they kind of decked me out in like different type of prosthetics and makeup and stuff, and I can be like Lord of the Rings character or
gotcha,
or something like that. You know?
Yeah,
that's where I'm at right now, Jeremy.
All right, we're gonna have to put him in a western soon.
Yes, sir. Boys in the Hood, you know. No. What about you? You try one. Let's see.
I don't have any. I only have my mom's down really well.
All right, let's hear it.
Jeremy 苏浩令，你给我过来。That's Chinese. Shoot. I just impersonate her yelling at me. That's all I remember from my childhood was getting in trouble because I was such a bad kid.
That's my accent is speaking in Chinese.
I guess that's not an accent. That's just an impersonation. 给我滚！你要欠揍。Yeah,
I love
my mom. I love my mom. I was the one at fault. In fact, I deserved it. I'm not even gonna act like I didn't. But another thing I've kind of been inspired and impressed by is your versatility. We've talked a lot about different things that you've done. You've even dabbled in a bakery. You have a very successful clothing and shoe line, vessel, and other things. I mean, when it comes to business, branding, marketing in general, like all the different decisions that you had to make and ventures that you're managing, like what's some business advice or like a piece of wisdom that you could share with everybody?
I think you can attest to this because, I mean, you yourself, your brand that you developed is really solid. And it really is just be fair and be gracious and grateful for the people around you and your team, because they're the ones that are going to make everything, they're the ones that are going to help execute everything and make it easier for you to display what you have in here and here. Yeah. So if I could do anything or say anything, that's kind of what I would say, because without the team, then it's just you doing everything.
Yeah,
and that's tiring. Yeah, that's tiring as F, and like I look at a lot of your stuff that you do for yourself, again, whether it's the social media team and your agencies and all that. I'm like, you got it, really, really good, solid team going on. And you work with family, and that's not easy too at times. But you have to have people that you trust and that's going to get your back and know you no matter what and have the same vision and goal.
Yeah. When people come and work for the Jalen company, I want that to, or either they come work for the Jalen company or they work with the Jalen company, whether it's, an agency or a consultant or whatever. Like I want that, my goal is that they walk away from that being like, man, like I would love to continue to work there. Or like that was a refreshing place to work at, or they were refreshing to work with.
Yeah.
And early on there was like, I didn't understand how to do it, and I'm still learning now because it's not easy, and there's just like so many hats we have to wear. So I'm coming back from basketball practice, and I got to figure out what's going on with the foundation board, and then I'm listening to what's going on with this endorsement, and then I understand that this agency is dealing with this, and then there's this firestorm with this conflict over here, and it's just like I'm trying to manage all of it. But like I think at the end of it is what you said is like, man, if the people around me feel like I really value them, if I'm able to properly express my gratitude, my love, and my appreciation to the people around me, then I feel like I'm doing okay, and I want, and I've heard people say like, I know that like once I leave Jalen, or if I leave Jalen, like I'll probably never find a place like this again. Like that was something that like early on I could never achieve that, but like many years later, when I was hearing people start to say that, I was like, okay, you're getting closer. You're getting closer. I will never forget that, like, during my Asia trips, early on when we would hang, these Asia trips is just constant collabs with celebrities.
Yeah.
Like, we're going through all of Asia, and it's like, you got to meet this person. You got to film this with this. You got to do this music video.
Right.
You got to do film this funny video, and you got to do this photo shoot over here, and then you got to do this event. And so you're constantly meeting celebrities, like, basically, like, multiple celebrities every day.
Yeah.
And towards the end of, like, that trip, I remember one of my team members came up to me and said, you know what? When I spoke to Van Ness and met him, he made me feel like I was the only person in the world. Versus like when I met a lot of other people, it was just kind of like, who are you? Oh, you're Jeremy's. Okay. You know, and it was just like, and I remember that to this day. This happened right after the insanity. So yeah, I think this is about like 12 years ago, and it still sticks with me to this day. Of like, I wanted to try to be that person where like, if one of my teammates or somebody introduced me to somebody, like I could make them feel like they were the only person in that world for that interaction, however short, 20 seconds, 1 minute of just, hey, nice to meet you or whatever. Like, so anyways, I just want to give you your flowers with who you are as a person. But it carries into your business advice.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That feels really nice. So it feels nice. I guess I was having a good day that day. No, yeah. I honestly, I feel that's really important. And, you know, I mean, we all know how it is to meet people and they're not the nicest, you know. And when they say
and frankly, I've been that person many times just because I don't have the capacity for it. Or
sometimes,
whatever.
I mean, and it's okay. We all do, you know. I've had those moments. I'm sure there's people like, oh, Vanessa's a beep, you know, like, but it's okay. We're human, you know. We just try to be better the next day. So, but yeah,
for sure. Just to kind of close things out, I want to go with a little bit more of a lighthearted question.
Like your frost tips on your hair.
Hey, how'd you know we're getting into hair? My question is, of all the different styles, and we gotta make sure we get some of these photos up on there. But man, you got this one where it's like this huge like
pompadour.
Yep, I don't even know the name of that. You got
that's the Kid and Play, I think.
You got this one with like this like long hair over the bangs and a goatee, and you got the buzz, and you got the long the OG F4, and you got the mullet. Man, what's your favorite? What's your favorite one? Do you want to like do what other people are doing, or you're like, okay, this is a trend, I'm gonna go exactly opposite of it, or you just kind of like, oh, that vibes with me right now? Like, what's your favorite style, and how do you kind of choose your hairstyles?
For style wise, I never kind of want to do what everybody's doing. It's always me trying to. It's me finding inspirations from people. Maybe I like this on him, but not the whole look, you know. So it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I'll kind of pick and choose what I like to wear. It's really like playing Avatar, you know, when we're playing different skins on video games and stuff. You get to pick and choose our clothing, our gear, our hairstyle, you know, our pigmentation, all that stuff. But with that said, it really is, you know, we watch a lot of anime, and then from Samurai Champloo, you know, the way they dressed in there, to whether it's I'm not sure, Naruto, Cowboy Bebop, and then even Robotech and like Berserk, you know, like the armor stuff. So it has a lot of mixtures of that, and how do you incorporate it to street fashion or high-end fashion and luxury and all that stuff. And that's kind of how I get my inspiration. And for the hair, always with manga and anime as well, you know, I mean, they have the coolest haircuts, you know. And your brother had some crazy hairs too. He went for it a couple times, you know. But I think for me, in the beginning was, you know, I saw Young and Dangerous, this movie, and Ika, and he had this long hair. I was like, oh, he looks so cool with it, and I want to kind of emulate that. So I kind of started growing my hair long. Never grew my hair long, you know. And then finally, when it got longer, I was like, okay, cool. And then slowly just find different stages of what you kind of have an idea for, and you kind of just go with it. My favorite, I think, hair that I enjoyed though was the show that I did for Call Me by Fire, because, you know, I had a hairstylist there, but my hair was a super long mullet from here, and then here was almost like back there, and it was only like this part, but then the sides were all cut. And from the side profile, I looked like a horse, you know. And I was like,
the show is Call Me by Fire.
Yeah,
I'm about to look this one up.
Yeah, and one of the hairstyle, I remember a fan said like, "Oh, he looks like a My Little Pony," you know. But I was like, "Dude, I look like a stallion. What are you talking about?"
Like a stallion,
you know, stallion, baby. But yeah, those are some fun times. I also like the buzz cuts, and I've always wanted to try the mohawk. So one time I had an opportunity, and I went like full on real mohawk, and yeah, that was
one. I got to get a better photo of it.
Yeah, I'll send you some.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, what about you? Because you did all the craziness too. Like,
my favorite is definitely the braids.
The braids,
like where you kind of grow it out here, like almost like a man bun, but then you turn to the braids. That's my favorite. But
it's so hard to maintain though.
Yeah, and also just like at that time, maybe like I question whether I should have done it with appropriation and things like that. I've always marveled at your jewelry ensemble, whether it's the earrings or the rings or the bracelets or the necklaces. I do want to know, like, what do you cap it off at? Like, what number of necklaces where you're like, that's my limit, no more than that?
It really depends. If I'm doing like a photo shoot, there's no limit. If photo shoots, because that's what's fun about photo shoots for magazines and everything like that, because you're able to be more freely express yourself and to try different things.
And be crazy and louder.
And louder because it's for that moment, it's for that picture. Now, will I do that every day? No. But they're like, I'm lazy, so I don't take these off when I sleep or this, and when I shower. I mean, it's just on me. But there are moments where I'll switch it up and then I'll wear that for a while, and then have the diversity. But it's just kind of a part of who I am and what I enjoy seeing. I think because when I was younger, my mom, she's really into jewelry.
Gotcha.
So when I was like 13 or something or 15, she came home. She's like, "Here, go design something and I'll make it for you." So it kind of like, cool. It kicked it off to where I was like, "Oh, cool! I can make my own ring with, all that stuff." And so that's kind of how it developed. But there are moments when I'm filming and I'm supposed to be super, clean cut and nothing. I actually really enjoy not wearing anything. Also,
I bet.
Yeah. So there's all that.
Speaking of your mom, Mimi, thank you for the facial. I did miss out on my skincare routine. That's how you couple
knew,
days.
Yeah, that's how you knew I was in town, because of my mom.
Yeah, because I got a facial like a few days ago, and then you're like, Van's coming in. I was like, Van's coming in? Oh shoot! Like, I was like, hey, we still had that podcast from last year. I hit you, and yeah. So I missed a couple days, but
your skin's looking great.
It's still better than had I not done anything and gotten the facial. So thank you, Mimi. I appreciate it.
Yeah, your skin looks great, Jeremy. Yeah.
On that note of how great my skin looks, thank you all for tuning in. That was another great conversation. Thank you, Van Ness, for taking the time. And we are going to go eat some sushi, so we got to go.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you guys for listening to my conversation with Van Ness. The big takeaway for me, the big learning that I had, I think I had two of them. One of them was we had a script and we had a direction that we want to go into, but Van kind of just jumped in and just shared very transparently. And to me, that was, like one thing I always like walk away whenever I hang with him is just like, dang, like I just appreciate the humanity of kind of who he is. It's not like about facades, or it's not about I have to puff myself up or come across a certain way. It's just like, I appreciate the people around me who we could just be straight with each other and not feel like we have any pressure to show up any which way. So that was my first one. The second one that I really, really liked, which I guess I never really like pieced it all the way together until I asked him just now of just like, hey, what's kind of one advice that you would give any entrepreneur or anybody in business? And he was like, man, just be gracious, be loving, be fair. Like basically just treat people the right way, treat people the way you would want to be treated, which is a very biblical principle. But that is, oftentimes I'm thinking like, oh, how are you going to like make this business grow? Or how do you like get a competitive advantage or whatever? And his thing was just like, man, just treat people the right way, and be fair and be loving. And to me, that was just, I always sensed that from him, but for whatever reason, like that kind of like opened up, which is why I kind of went in later of like, man, you know what? Like I've heard consistently from the people through the years say this about you. So that was really nice to, have a nice fresh reminder. Like it doesn't matter how good I am at anything. Like when I show up, like I got to make sure that the people around me feel love from me. So those are my takeaways from today's. Hopefully you all had a great time listening. Hopefully you all learned a lot, and thanks for tuning in. Van Ness, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in.